well, one can argue that Serge Tankian, the political themes touch upon System of a Down's work, and the System of a Down work is motivated.
Now, Hollywood has been relatively silent about the Armenian genocide. There's been continuous pressure on the media which may explain that. There is an early film that can be watched. It's online, is it?
Yeah, it is available.
Yeah, it's available online. This was made in 1919, and it features Aurora Mardiganyan, who miraculously survived the genocide. I think at that point we might pause and ask everybody if they know that the genocide that we are talking about happened in 1915. Okay, well now you know. You know now. We won't go into the details of that. We can talk about it privately afterwards if you want. But that's the anniversary that is commemorated every year. It's the Turkish, the Ottoman Turkish, I should say, genocide of Armenians in 1915. That's what we're talking about.
Well, if you have an opportunity to watch the film or any other project, in fact, on your own, then you will know what we're talking about. But just for those who don't know, I will just say that over 1.5 million Armenians were killed during the genocide, and that's the extent we're talking about. And the issue was swept under the carpet for so many years.
So on the 24th of April every year, there is a great press of people at a monument in Yerevan, in the capital city, just on the edge. Yes, on this screen we can see on the left the memorial fire. You can see the eternal flame there on the left, which burns at this monument, and on the right you can see the commemoration day of 2013 in Yerevan, which gives you an idea of the number of people who congregate.
So everyone probably knows Kim Kardashian, right? So in 2015 she visited Armenia first time, and one of the first things she did, she went to the genocide memorial, and this was all over the internet. Actually, on the left hand, one of the she's a descendant of the survivors of the genocide. Yeah.
So, 8th of May, exactly a year ago, the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia elected Nikol Pashinyan to be the next Prime Minister, and at that point the mass protests stopped because they'd achieved what they wanted. So that change of regime was a major milestone for the people of the country, and from that day on the country has tried to solve the economic and social problems facing it while respecting the law, hence the choice of that country by The Economist as Country of the Year. Oh yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, during the revolution a lot of art was created. Unfortunately I can't connect the YouTube. I had a couple of videos to show you to just to pass on the spirit. But basically what happened is that the revolution, as it happened on the streets and as it unfolded, people were capturing it and also making some songs in London in my apartment and watching everything over YouTube, because news probably wouldn't just give everything. We would just get extra pieces from friends and family who were watching there, being a part of the crowd. So I was sitting in London, and both me and Peter were working on the book, on our poetry book, and actually that's when we thought we actually need to incorporate something from the revolution into our poetry book, and that's what happened. And 1 year later, this is the result of that work. Not too many poems regarding the revolution were written, but we were just inspired by it. Let's see. This is our creative team. Martha, third person, might turn up today. We are waiting for her, but she's being a little bit late. I don't know if she will make it or not. But myself and Peter are here. And okay, so my background is I have just published my first poetry book, and I write poetry since 12. I started from Armenian and Russian. I work with other medium as well, and my background is I started as a financial professional before turning into art, and I practice as an academic in finance. And Peter?
Well, as you will imagine, I have done a few more things because I've been around rather longer than Liana. But one of them was to go to Yerevan to teach at the Yerevan State University 40 years ago, exactly this year. And I've stayed a friend of the country mentally, if not terribly actively, ever since. There was a gap of 20 years until I went back in 2001. I was invited back to speak at the celebration of the 1700th anniversary of the adoption of Christianity by Armenia in 301, before Rome. And I went and prepared a little paper for the university on a suitable subject, something I knew very little about and they knew even less about, so that was all right. I've been back since several times and joined the Armenian Institute some years ago, who the director is sitting here, and was introduced to Liana. Very glad that happened, because we then found that we were both writing poetry, and we put them together and made up this compilation. I've written other things too, which I won't go into. That's what I now do in my retirement. I've been an editor and translator and all sorts of other things. So that's enough about us, I think. Martha is she Czech? I can't remember.
She's Greek Australian.
Oh, right, okay, right, yes. Well, that's as much as I know.
The illustration of the cover is hers, and she has three or four more in the book. Not all of them are hers, but her illustrations are beautiful, and she studied Indian poetry as an illustration professionally, and she works on artists at the moment.
Right.
So, well, now's the time to probably introduce the book and the poetry. And Peter will start with his poem, which is the opening poem of the book, and that is a bit of introduction to the question, who are Armenians? Because some of you are probably still wondering.
Well, this will answer it absolutely definitively. It's called, I'm not sure you need it really, but there we are. It's called Armen, Ararat and Haik. Armenia means the land of the Armen, a tribe of the ancient empire Urartu, thought to be 3,000 or more years old. And Ararat stands in its sometime centre, the mystical, magical, mosaic mountain where Noah fled with his flock from the flood. Ar also means sun, so the Armen are, semantically speaking, the sons of the sun. Though, strangely, Armenians don't speak of themselves as Armen, but Hai, who are named after Haik, a great-great-grandson of grumbling Noah. The truth is hidden in Ararat's haze.
Thank you.
And I think we are now going to have the poem in the book about the Velvet Revolution, aren't we?
Yes. So this is from the book. The illustration is from the book. And let's see. So the poem is called Make It Velvet. Honk, please honk. No bloodshed though. It's too precious. Please only honk your horn. Make it civil disobedience. Honk, honk, honk. Honk, 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 all day long. Honk, honk, honk. Hey, you women, join our ranks, even if you don't drive cars. When the stars parade at midnight and the city is lit by moonlight, bang your pots and pans together as a sign of disobedience. Bang, 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 bong, 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 all gone wrong. Let the din embrace the city, let it reach beyond the country. Yahoo, Yahoo, we disobey, who you? Hey, policemen, join our ranks. Do Do not point your guns at us. Do not stand apart like strangers. We are your sisters, grandmas, neighbors. You are your lovers, your blood brothers. For this is a revolution of love and of tolerance. This is a demonstration of peaceful disobedience. Hey, you youngsters, old folk, children, housewives, workers, join our ranks, but no matter what, no bloodshed. Though we may be discontented, still we want no blood, so we honk, honk, honk.
You will realise.
So we thought we would read something from Genocide Thing, because we presented well revolution and genocide together. So the genocide poems, actually the entire book is about genocide poems, but some of them address the genocide poems directly. And what you see on the screen is the poems which address genocide directly. So I'm reading Do They Remember, the second one. The illustration, before I start, maybe I'll talk about the illustration itself, because the illustration is in the book. It resembles the symbol, the flower, which is the symbol of genocide. Everyone knows it, and the flower itself is an artistic expression of it. Oh, something happens to me. Okay. Right. Do they remember? Once upon a time, there were dense green forests, but the trees were plucked from the land by drovers, settlers, and soulless greedheads, piles of murdered, savage trees leaking blood into crystal water. Some plants, though, were luckier than trees, for they pumped blood into the man-made system and fed into the food chain of nature. They were mass-produced in millions, replacing the life before them. But even after a century, the roots of the trees still cling to the soil. Do they remember? Imagine one day that their seeds will return to their homeland. The soil remembers and whispers in the ears of those whose hearts will listen. The comment is, I'm just leaving.
This is a comment that Liana wrote on the poem Do They Remember, which we'll leave you to read. Because although it all happened over, well, that particular genocide happened over a century.
So even though the poem was written some time ago, there's a time gap between publishing this work. We were watching as Extinction Rebellion was making this big noise all around the world, and it's just so relevant. Yeah. Okay, so maybe just can talk about the illustration. This is another poem called Genocide Through the Centuries. I'm not going to read it, but there is an illustration next to it, and I wanted to present that because it's not just an illustration in the book, but it has a story. So it was made during the filming of a film called Brexit Reflections, but there is Armenian theme running through it as well. So let me I just want to show you. Hold on. The whole thing, but just to say, it was a part of another theme. So I couldn't get the background music, but you get an idea. And another genocide poem will be presented by Peter. That's his work. Yes, but would you like to read the next poem from Food Range?
Oh, what, Lavash?
Yes.
Yes, I believe.
So okay, maybe we say why Lavash and Smell of My Dream are together. So Lavash, Smell of My Dream, and the illustration that you see on the screen, three of them are works of three different artists who worked on the book, and it's a collaboration. It's a very successful collaboration because the illustration speaks to the two poems. It actually it is an extension of both. So you can look at it and listen to two poems at the same time. Lavash is written by Peter, Smell of My Dream by myself. Mine is more personal, about my childhood memories and from the point of view of diaspora. And then Peter's poem is more general.
Yes, fair enough, it is more general. But all the food poems, there are 10 food poems in here out of my 17 in the whole book. We have about that number each. Liana, I think, has 15 and 5 in Armenian, so it's fairly well balanced. All of my food poems, all of those 10, take food, if you like, as a theme, but it's also a theme with an underlying message. It stands, if you like, as a cipher for violence, and you'll realise that from this one as well. That illustration, again, is by Martha, by the way. Lavash. Lavash is flour and water, and a little salt of friendship, baked by the heat that remains when the fire has raged and died, and the endless patience of women. The dough is rolled out flat, spread thinly on a cushion, and slapped on the wall of an oven that is lined with a belly of clay and dug in the Mother Earth. In time, it is peeled from the wall and eaten soft and warm, or borne away with its twins to be stored crisp and dry against an hour of need. Baptismal drops of water will restore the bread to life as companion to your meat and to wayside bitter herbs where you please.
Smell of my dream. Smell of bread. From the bakery across the road. Or bread that's baked with my own two hands. Distant memories of childhood. Orderly rolled up balls of dough on parade-like lines of soldiers celebrating this day. Baking is a holiday. My joy, my hard work and sweat, busting next to the fire, deep down the hole, and no ceiling where we bake, just 4 walls. Water as pure as intended, from somewhere in the mountains, running in the paths that Grandpa installed when I was not yet born. The smell of nature, with the heat of freshwater fish, water run and feed my garden. The earth, the muddy dirt, stuck on my hands as I continue making round dough balls from the mud. I smell like earth and tomatoes that enjoyed the water and indulged the sun and smell intensely red, no, orange. They touch the soil like my hands. Why are they pretending to be dough balls? Fire, burning wood, smell of the wood. Not in a fireplace of my now British home. The wood from the mountains, the only source to survive the freezing winter, survive the blockade, by telling stories how the future is better and tasting the smell of potatoes, as there is nothing else to bake. Green everywhere, a royal park in England, smell of nature, but green in winter? Not in my childhood memory. What is another smell? Like someone decomposing slowly. Has nature been killed by progress? And the childhood dream left in a faraway land. Always a dream. So then we would move to the next theme, which is diaspora, and Peter will read a piece which is called First Diaspora.
The first, before the Ottomans, the Byzantines had settled Armenians further west, a foolishness so vast that roaming bands filled up the void, and from that time Armenian merchants moved to seek a freer climate far afield, in Syria or India or Greece, in Venice in the Netherlands or France, the Baltic, Poland, Danube and Vienna, the Balkans or in Russia and Crimea, or traipsed behind the Mongols to the steppes, creating thus a filigree of friends.
So I have a diaspora / poem in Armenian. I think we have someone else. I'm just thinking I should read one in Armenian for our Armenian guests. Yeah. It's called Հայրենիքից հեռու, Far Away from Motherland. Ասում ես, սիրով է հոգիդ լի, իսկ ինչպիսին է քո սերը, գիտես? Արդյոք նվիրված է համայնքին այս փոքրիկ, տանում է դեպի եդեմական պարտեզ, թե ուղղված է մի գաղափարի կամ անձի, ուզում ես ընկղմվել կյանքի խորության մեջ, թափանցել հեռուներն անթափանցելի, հաղորդել իմաստություն, արթնացնել երանգ, և ճանիք ես մի բացարիք ծայրահեղության, թե պատկանում ես բոլորին և ոչ մեկին, արդյոք մենակ ես քո այդ դերի մեջ, ընտրությունն է քո, թե բաժին է ու վիճակ, որ հասել է քեզ պահպանում նավանդույթի, արդյոք խաչ է, թե պատիվ, ցավ է, թե հոգնած հաճույք, արդյոք հասնելով աշխարհիս ծայրը, հասել ես վերջապես տուն ու սյունը թիմնել օտար հողի մեջ, կերտելով այնտեղ տաճարը հոգուտ, արդյոք խաղաղ է քո կյանքը, թե պայքար է անանդոր, անվերջ, ինչպիսին է քո սերը, գիտես։
And we move on to love, I think.
Yeah.
Love and war.
Strong. Yes. Yeah. Okay. This the other one. The other one. Yeah. The other one. Read the other one.
Read if this was the point.
No. The Born Crystal.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
Yeah.
shall I comment?
Yeah.
No, I'm just checking because I'm not sure how much time.
Born Torn Crystal. I want to love you from afar, silently. I do not wish to ask for anything. I do not need you to love me reciprocally. I want to watch you from afar. Please take my life, my heart, wrap it as a fragile crystal. Hide it away in a safe place and keep it until the war ends. You will know the time has come and people are finally at peace when the crystal turns into a blossoming plant and bees visit you, yearning for the nectar of the flowers. Well, this one is mainly for the illustration. It's a very short poem, but the whole illustration was made to express the emotion of the poem. I rush to you to say how much I love you. Illustration by Martha Moderate. The last theme is global issues. Trouble with the jungle. Elephants were subjected to mind control, to serve a dual purpose, to fight the war and obey the law. The law was written by foxes, paid by blood oil. It was decided that chameleon should sit on the jungle throne, and lions who speak out the truth should be democratically selected to be served at a charity dinner to save endangered species of supersized pigs. Is there any lion who can escape the system of the jungle and save the animal kingdom?
Well, that concludes our reading from the poems in the book. Just one or two little comments. It's been a great pleasure for me working with Liana. As she said, she started writing in Armenian and Russian, so English is a third language. So it's quite an achievement to have written what she has written. And I wanted to pick out one or two things. One or two you've heard and one or two you haven't. Lines from her poems. You just heard a little while ago, War-Torn Crystal, when the crystal turns into a blossoming plant and bees visit you, yearning for the nectar of the flowers. And I picked out those because I love that image. A poem she hasn't read from begins, let's microchip these people, which is, again, a very modern image, which I like very much. And running through the book as well, apart from the themes we've picked out, the love and war and the food and so on, there is a consciousness of time, which is not surprising in the Armenian context, given that the story of the civilization goes back 3,000 years. One poem she's written called The Bread of Time in the book contains the lines, delight with each millisecond uncurls the pleasure of now, which I thought was lovely. And in a poem called I Am Immortal, I am the love that spreads the light. And she has one poem entitled, When Time Stops by Count of Light. And you think, oh, yes, I won't explain it, I won't ask Liana to, but it makes you think. And the last poem in the book, called Narek, is, which is an Armenian reference. In that she says, I am the book. And in fact, we are the book. That really neatly sums it up. And then I think you wanted to go on to other...
Shall I sound like your work?
If you wish to, yes.
Yeah, okay. Right, so I have scribbled some things on the paper, but I probably will better if you can into the...
No, don't do that.
No, okay, so
In the first poem we read, the truth is hidden in Arad's haze, the line. I think that's the last one, yeah. I have learned how to eat pomegranate. First, wet your knife till it's thread cutting sharp. That's the pomegranate knives. Lavash is flour and water and little salt of friendship. That's from Lavash. There is a food poem that we haven't read called Khash, which is an Armenian dish, and it starts with use what's left, and it's just you can use it as a metaphor because you don't have to really use what's left to cook, but you can just use what's left to live your life, because that's what the Armenians have been doing. And as I pick those lines, Martha it's arrived, so we can give a round of applause. She made it. We finished already. Yeah. Okay. What else? In Roundel of Hope, you say some things simply have to be bought. The future is bright, and that is such a universal line. It could have been told about Armenia before the revolution. Sujuk. When fleeing danger, hosts of danger, hardening, relentless hosts.